Hey y'all, we've got Derby Prep at Colonial Downs on Saturday, and we've got an Oaks Prep at Colonial Downs on Saturday. It's the Virginia Oaks, ungraded at 250,000, eighth race on the card, running a mile and a 16th for the 3-year-old fillies. And one very important thing to note: this is a one-turn race. Now, the Virginia Derby is, from what I can see from the PPs, is a two-turn race at a mile and an eighth. And I just encourage everybody to really get a firm footing on that one. But from what I can see, it's kind of like Gulfstream. It starts on a turn. But anyway, that's the Derby. For the Oaks, this is a one-turn race. So very important, especially when you consider quite a few of these in this race have more one-turn pedigree than two. You've got a couple of practical jokes in here, and you've got a sharp Azteca. This would definitely be more favorable to them. And I don't think necessarily because it's a one-turn race, I don't know that pedigree is overly important in this race, except for one, and we'll talk about that. So you can see we've got Gowell's Delight, who just came back from it's basically the Confederacy, coming back from Gettysburg after dealing with Good Cheer. Probably the most notable. I'll tell you right off the bat, before we get into it, this is a wide open race, in my opinion. So we'll look here, and you'll see most of the runners want to be up and around the pace. And I think of them, You'll Be Back is probably the one who will get the lead, but I don't think has enough to stay in the mix. But looking at the early runners, Econ Mama is a horse that I had a little bit of interest in at two, but really hasn't done a whole lot. And the only two wins are in Pennsylvania and one against Statebreds, where she won handily. But I looked at her last 7 furlong race, and I don't think it was too bad. And certainly more distance is going to help this one. And in the field like this, I think is one that can kind of stick around. The biggest problem that she has is she doesn't really have a lot of early lick, and I mean, she's listed as an EP, but really probably is more like a mid-pack horse. Um, again, the added distance I think helps, but I see this one as more a candidate for under. Now, Gowell's Delight, it's really hard to know what to do with her after the Rachel Alexandra. She ran against a buzzsaw and Good Cheer. You know, she tried to wire the field, and Good Cheer was just too good, as we expected. But she did hang around for second. The problem is, there have been a couple of races where she's been forwardly placed and has faded in both. And I don't know how much this one is progressing. And at 3-1, you just can't like her in a race like this. I mean, this is that this field to me is kind of like a recycled bin or a lost and found. You know, just somebody trying to find a fairly soft place to get some Oaks points to get in. And I don't know, I just can't take a favorite in this race, just the way it's composed. So, of the two Kenny McPeaks, I'll take Anonyma. And the reason being is she was on a very nice progression prior to her last race, but I'm not going to hold that against her because she probably just wasn't good enough to deal with the likes of Quiet Side and Mohima. But also want to remember from the Honeybee at Oaklawn, speed was everything that day, and all the races were being won on the front end. And she got off to a terrible start and just was never really able to recover. But she did get carried wide around the turns, and it didn't run that badly. It was just sort of up against it there. But I think she could do better if she continues on that progression. So Anonyma is one I think we want to include in the mix, and I wouldn't be surprised if she won this race whatsoever. Now, Early on is a horse that looks serious for this race. Being by Union Rags, you look at her PPs and all her races around one turn were kind of okay, but she didn't put it all together until she went around two turns. And for a Union Rags, that's gold, you know. And she ran a really solid race around two turns her first time. The only thing that I worry about is now she's cutting back to one turn again. Flavian Pratt is aboard, that's true. But the way I look at early on in this race is she can win it. I mean, I think she's on the heading in the right direction for sure. But I look at this as she is more a prospect to win the Kentucky Oaks than the Virginia Oaks, only because it's around one turn. I think this is a race where Flavian Pratt can get a feel for her, and you know, you certainly have to love her at 8-1, and we know that's going to come down with Pratt aboard. But I think this one would probably be better around two turns, but is again heading in the right direction. One that can certainly be in the mix and could certainly win the race. So to me is one of the top two in here. Low key is just not good enough. I didn't see enough there for Tom Amis. I settled on Girl Math, and okay, you guys who follow me know that she's coming from Turfway, and so if I need an angle that I can use to find a winner in this race, that's as good as any. Now, in the Cincinnati Trophy, she lost to a runaway front-running winner, White Rock, who just freaked and was able to hang on at the wire. Girl Math had a little trouble on the back stretch, and she did find her stride late, and she was moving along pretty well. So I don't know that she's necessarily in really bad form. I just think it was one of those races where she just things just didn't work out correctly for her. But now moving back to dirt, this one has good back class. Yes, she's got 3 seconds, and that is a concern to me for sure. But I do like the back class, and I think that this is a race that should set up pretty well for her because there's a little bit of class relief. So, you know, the all-weather to dirt, we know what happens when that happens, especially coming from Turfway. It's worth a shot. Am I 100% about it? Not really, but that's where I'm going to go. I'm going with Girl Math. Fondly is coming out of a maiden race, and you guys know my feeling about maidens going into stakes races, but it was a pretty good effort. I just don't know that she beat a whole lot, and it was a nice, solid win, and certainly this one has upside, and I think we can include comfortably underneath, particularly in this type of field, especially since it's only a one-turn race. So there's a lot of ways to go. I want as much value as I can possibly get out of a field like this, and that's really what I'm looking, what's governing my decision-making process. And I just, while I like early on at 8-1, the one turn bothers me, so I'll settle for Girl Math at 5-1 as our primary win candidate. So we take a look at our strategy. We're going to go with Girl Math on top. But then we'll do a cold exacta with early on 7-5. Then we'll box the two of them. And then, because, again, I think this race is wide open, we'll key box with Girl Math as our primary with 4, 5, and 8. Trifecta, we'll go 7-5 with 1-4-8, 5-7, 5-7 with 1-4-8, and then 5-7 with 1-4-8 with 5-7. This is a wild one. It really, in my opinion, it is. And there's a lot of ways to go. If I had to choose the 3 I'm most confident about that I like the most, I would go with the 4, the 5, and the 7 as my primary horses to work with. So I hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy. I wish you the best of luck as always. Be on the lookout for more postings this week. Again, waiting to hear from you guys. Let me know if there's a sequence that you'd like us to tackle aside from Colonial Downs. I'm all ears. I'd be more than happy to do that if we get a consensus. And certainly if you do like content like this, please like and subscribe. And again, thanks so much to all of you. We're 10 away from 2,000 subscribers. So pitch in, give us a hand here, and let's get to $2,000 before the end of the week. So just ask you for that. But again, thanks so much for all of your support. Happy to have all you newcomers on the Derby Trail and beyond. So that's it from here. I'll talk to you soon. And until then, be well.